first, the visitors, Sturbridge Post 109. Leading it off is the catcher, Jack Sullivan, with Ian Weatherby batting second and playing third base. Brady Ravenel is the center fielder. He bats third, with Alex Augustine, tonight's starting pitcher, batting cleanup. Cody Murphy plays right field and bats fifth, with Andy Berg, the shortstop, batting sixth. Charlie Murray plays first base and bats seventh, with the second baseman, Dean Morin, batting eighth. And in the ninth spot is the left fielder, Ben Augustine. And for Milford Post 59, leading it off once again and playing left field is Matt DeCina. Andrew McMillan slides over to shortstop for tonight's game and bats second, with Dan Mantoni in as the game's starting pitcher. He bats third. Kevin Martinez is the cleanup hitter. He plays first base, with the second baseman, Joe White, batting fifth. Michael Ryan catches and bats sixth, with Cam Cosette in right field batting seventh. Mike Caffarella gets the start in this nightcap. He plays third base and bats eighth, and in the ninth spot for Milford is the center fielder, Kevin Lynch. And your pitching matchup, Dan Mantoni on the mound for Post 59. He is opposed by Alex Augustine, and both starting pitchers are in the starting lineup for each team, so there will be no designated hitters tonight. And right on cue, Jack Sullivan, the catcher for Sturbridge, steps in on the right side, and we are about to see pitch number one of this second game at Pheno Field. Here it is, and it is up high for ball one. Game number two officially set to go. As Mantoni is ready with his second pitch, and that is in there for a called strike. That evens the count at 1-1. Before we get any further, we will bring you our game time temperature, which is brought to you by Green Street Auto Spa. And it has cooled off a bit since game number one, mercifully for fans here at the ballpark. It is 79 degrees here in Milford, and it certainly feels much more comfortable conditions here at the ballpark now than it did back at 3 p.m. It's a 1-2 count now to Jack Sullivan as this pitch is hit up the middle, fielded at second base by Joe White. He throws over to first, and one up and one down here in the top of the first inning. Defensively, Post 59 looks like this. Michael Ryan behind the plate with Mike Caffarella at third, Andrew McMillan at shortstop, Joe White at second base, and Kevin Martinez at first. Left to right in the outfield, it is Matt DeCina, Kevin Lynch, and Cam Cosette. Dan Mantoni not at his normal shortstop spot as he is on the pitcher's mound. As Mantoni deals ball one into Ian Weatherby, the third baseman. Weatherby was in the lineup when these two teams played each other earlier in the season. Batted second in that game as well. He only made 2 at-bats. He struck out looking and grounded into an inning-ending double play. The 1-1 pitch now is down in the dirt. Weatherby jumps ahead in the count. Got to give a lot of credit to Michael Ryan, who will be behind the plate now for his second game on the day. And especially in these hot temperatures, it certainly takes its toll on these catchers, almost most of all. It's a 3-ball, 1-strike count now on Weatherby. Mantoni back into the windup. Here is the pitch, and it's down low for ball 4. A 1-out walk as Weatherby trots down to first base, and up comes Brady Ravenel, the center fielder. He digs in on the right side to face the right-handed throwing Dan Mantoni. Mantoni delivers, and he misses with another one for ball 1. Mantoni trying to get a feel for the strike zone here in the top of the first. A nice breeze blowing in from the outfield here at Pheno Field, cooling off the fans as this ball is sharply hit on the right side. That gets through for a base hit. Ravenel down to first base. It pushes Weatherby into scoring position at second. So 2 on with 1 out now in this top of the first inning. Sturbridge looking to put up some early runs as they were held off the scoreboard completely in that mercy rule loss to Milford earlier on the year. As Dan Mantoni sees a close pitch just miss inside to his counterpart Alex Augustine. He is down in the count 1-0. delivers the next pitch, and that's swung on and fouled off the backstop. That evens up the count. Dan Mantoni making his third start of the season. He is 2-0. He has pitched complete games in each of his first 2 efforts on the mound. As this next pitch is popped up in foul territory off towards the third base dugout. Over there is Mike Caffarella. And Caffarella is able to make the catch. And it looks like he was just able to stay in play, or was he? No, in fact, it looks like they are going to rule that he was out of play, as he was just about a foot past the line that brings an end to the official field of play over there by the dugout. It was a nice catch by Caffarella, but it goes off the boards here as Augustine steps back to the plate, sends another one in the air, but this one clearly out of play. And that will bring the count to 1 ball and 2 strikes. Mantoni has pitched 14 innings coming into this game on the season. He's allowed 12 hits, only 1 run. He's walked 3 and struck out 9. He's faced 51 batters coming into the game tonight, as he deals a called strike 3 on the outside corner. That freezes Augustine. There is the second out of the inning. That will leave it up to Cody Murphy, who gets the start in right field today. He was Sturbridge's starting pitcher against Milford back on June 15th. He was only able to go 3+ innings in that outing. He allowed a total of 7 runs to Milford. 4 of those runs, however, were unearned, as Sturbridge committed a total of 5 errors in that game. We also saw a total of 7 walks. Milford was able to win that game 12-0 on the benefit of just 4 hits. So it was a bit of a bizarre game. It's a 1 ball, 1 strike count right here to Cody Murphy with 2 outs and runners at first and second base, as that ball goes in and out of the glove of Michael Ryan, but it does not venture very far away. And the count goes to 2-1. Sturbridge has made Mantoni work a little bit here in the top of the first inning, as the runners take their lead off of first and second. Here comes the pitch, and it's fouled to the backstop, and that evens the count. 2 balls, 2 strikes with 2 outs. And runners aboard at first and second, that lead runner Ian Weatherby, who walked, and Brady Ravenel, who singled. Mantoni takes a look down to second base, now fires to the plate, and that pitch is swung on and missed for strike 3. Mantoni gets back-to-back Ks to bring an end to this top of the first inning. Sturbridge strands a pair, and after half an inning, there is no score, with Milford coming up for the first time when we return here on coverage of Milford Legion Baseball on First Class Radio. Once again, it will be Matt DeCina who will be the first post-59 batter to step to the plate here in the bottom of the first inning. And he takes the first pitch ball from the starter for Sturbridge Post 109, Alex Augustine. And now the count evens up at 1-1. Augustine was the starting shortstop for Post 109 when these two teams met last. He went 1 for 2 offensively. He is in the lineup tonight as well. He was one of 2 strikeout victims for Dan Mantoni in the top half of this inning. Here comes a 2-1 pitch now to DeCina that was snagged on the way past the pitcher's mound by Alex Augustine. He throws to first base to retire Matt DeCina for the first out here in the bottom of the first inning. 1-3 on the grounder. And that brings up Andrew McMillan, who once again shows off his positional versatility by sliding from third base to shortstop, as Dan Mantoni moves into the pitcher's mound for tonight's game. We've seen that each of the previous 2 times that Mantoni has pitched. And McMillan able to jump ahead in the count early, 2 balls and no strikes. Earlier this afternoon, Andrew McMillan was held hitless. He popped out to third base, grounded into a double play, and flew out to right field. He's ahead in the count 3-0. That may be one of the only times this season that Andrew McMillan has been kept off the base paths. Here's the 3-0 pitch, and McMillan takes all the way. He takes a called strike one. Andrew still with the top batting average on the team, I should say, as he takes ball 4 that misses low. He will reach first base as a 1-out base runner. And now here is Dan Mantoni, who shook off an 0-for performance against Grafton Hill last night with a couple of hits earlier this afternoon. He singled twice, also drove in a run. And takes the first pitch outside for ball 1 from Augustine. We'll see if Andrew McMillan tries anything on the bases here. Always a threat to steal. He holds here as this pitch is sent out to right field. Coming in is Cody Murphy. He is able to make the catch. McMillan has to scramble back to the first base bag, but he gets there. Mantoni making good contact, but that one hung up for the Sturbridge right fielder to make the catch. 2 outs now, and here comes Kevin Martinez. Once again at his post at first base tonight. Digs into the right side batter's box, swings at the first pitch and hits it high in the air in foul ground off of first base. Charlie Murray will give it a look all the way to the edge of the field of play, but that one flutters off into the spectators, who are situated right beyond the field of play down the right field line. It's always a favorite spot to take in a game here at Pheno Field. Already a larger crowd has shown up here for the night game tonight. As Andrew McMillan now takes off for second base, the pitch missed inside for a ball. No chance to get McMillan at second base. He slides in with the steal, getting himself into scoring position. And it's an even count of 1 ball and 1 strike on Martinez. He takes the next pitch up high for ball 2. Kevin, coming into the first game this afternoon, was hitting .282 on the season. He, of course, has the team's only home run on the year. That came back on Wednesday night of this past week against Framingham. He sends another ball foul out of play off to the right. And it is a 2-ball, 2-strike count with 2 outs, and Andrew McMillan taking a big lead off of second base as this pitch is swung on and missed, held on to by the catcher Jack Sullivan, and that is it for Milford here in the bottom of the first. They strand a man in scoring position. Each team strands a runner on base. And through the first inning of play, we are scoreless here from Pheno Field on coverage of Milford Legion Baseball on First Class Radio. Dan Mantoni set to go for his second inning of work, as he already delivers the first pitch into Andy Berg, the Sturbridge shortstop, who gets it started. And that pitch misses for ball 1. Mantoni, another quick worker on the mound. He and Dan Avery both receive that return throw from the catcher and immediately get back on the pitching rubber. The 1-ball, 1-strike pitch now is fouled out of play, and now Mantoni jumps ahead 1-2. We'll try to get you updated on the final scores from around Zone 4 from earlier today, as we had a lot of morning and afternoon baseball on tap around the zone, as now Berg sends a fly ball out to right field, but no problem for Cam Cosette, who makes the catch for the first out of the inning. There was only one other evening game on the schedule, so everything else should be final. Again, we will effort those final scores to you as early as we can get them. 1 out deep here in the top of the second inning, and Charlie Murray, the first baseman, stands in. He takes a called strike 1. And now the count evens up at 1 ball and 1 strike. Charlie Murray up now. Dean Moore, the second baseman, waits on deck as Murray sends this ball foul down the left field line and out of play. And again, it's a 1-2 count. Charlie Murray, an 18-year-old. He's listed at 6'4", 215 pounds, a recent graduate of St. John's High School. He gets into this pitch and sends it out into the left center field gap. A dive for Matessina, and he makes the catch. Completely airborne was Matessina. He robbed an extra base hit from Charlie Murray, and there are 2 outs here in the top of the 2nd inning. Highlight reel caliber catch from Matessina, who continues to excel in all phases of the game this season for Milford. As Dan Mantoni lets that pitch fly, and it bounces in outside and ricochets to the backstop for ball 1 to Dean Morin, the second baseman. He swings away now and pops one up foul up over the home dugout and out of play to even up the count. First 2 retired here for Sturbridge in the top of the 2nd. Mantoni right back into the windup. Here's the pitch, a half-hearted swing by Morin. Couldn't lay off the pitch up and out of the zone, and he jumps ahead 1-2. Middle infielders playing deep right on the outfield grass. Here's the 1-2 pitch. It's hit in the air in foul ground down the right field line. It jumps out of play. No chance for Cam Cosette, and it stays a 1-2 count. And Jeff Basazzi hops out of the Milford dugout to retrieve the loose ball. It seems as though that is his assigned job this season. It is often Basazzi who tracks down those balls when they wander out of play. Definitely a job assigned to a first-year player. Here's a 2-2 pitch. It is hit right back up the middle on one hop. It is stabbed by Dan Mantoni. He takes it most of the way to the first base bag before flipping to Kevin Martinez, easy for me to say, for the out that retires the side. It is a 1-2-3, top of the 2nd inning, highlighted by a fantastic catch by Matessina. And we head to the home half of the 2nd, still scoreless here on coverage of Milford Legion baseball on First Class Radio. Joe White will lead it off in the home half of the 2nd inning. And for Joe White, the first game here this afternoon was the first game of this 2014 season that he did not reach base safely. It broke a 15-game streak. So he will look to start a new one here tonight. As he steps in for the first time, he takes ball 1 from the Sturbridge starter, Alex Augustine, who was able to pitch his way around a 1-out walk back in the first. Stares over his glove. Augustine ready with the next pitch. Now it comes in inside. It nearly grazes White off the leg, but he's able to get out of the way, and that brings the count to 2 balls and 1 strike. The next pitch on the way, and this one is on the outside edge for a called strike 2. Joe White, one of the more difficult post-59 players to strike out. Hits a hard ground ball over towards first, but playable for Charlie Murray, who takes it to the bag himself for the first out here in the 2nd inning. Joe White, in fact, has only struck out 1 time on the season. He is the only player who has taken regular at-bats for post-59 that has 1 strikeout or less. But he is out here with a ground ball to first base to start things off in the 2nd. And now here is Michael Ryan, the catcher. He grounds one over onto the right side. It clanks in and out of the glove of the first baseman, Charlie Murray. No chance for a play. And Michael Ryan will be safe. Murray may have been better off breaking away and allowing Dean Morin, the second baseman, to make that play, as it would have been a much more natural play for the second baseman to make. But instead it will be an error charged to the first baseman. That allows Michael Ryan to reach with 1 down, and now here is Cam Cosette. Cosette has really been giving this bottom part of the lineup some power over the last couple of games. He came through with an RBI single as part of a 2-hit effort in Game 1 against North County. Also came through with an RBI single last night against Grafton Hill. So a lot of good offensive production. Cosette also hitting now over 300 on the season. He sends the 1-1 pitch out to center field, but the play made there by Ravenel. Michael Ryan was off with the pitch, but he was able to read the ball well in the outfield. He gets back to first base with now 2 outs. And that leaves it up to Mike Caffarella, who will take his first at bat here as part of this doubleheader. He is the only lineup change for Milford between games 1 and 2. All the other positional players for Milford are the same as game 1. Augustine now sends a pickoff check over at first base, but Ryan did not have a big lead. He was able to get back standing up. 2 outs in the bottom of the second. The first pitch into Caffarella is up high. Mike Caffarella had an opportunity to get a start back on Wednesday night, playing third base. He ended up coming away with 2 hits in that game. He had a triple and came around to score in the third inning. He also had an RBI single on the night. He's ahead in the count right now, 2 balls and no strikes. Takes one that misses just outside. 4-3. Caffarella has been a strikeout candidate throughout this year, but he's well ahead in the count right now, 3-0. He takes all the way and takes a called strike 1. Caffarella has struck out 9 times on the season in 16 at-bats, as he swings and misses at the 3-1, and now the count runs full. He's only walked once on the year, so a bit of a free swinger. Michael Ryan will have a chance to get a head start here with the 3-2 pitch coming up. He goes. The pitch is inside and low for ball 4. Caffarella able to work the walk here. Caffarella's other walk on the season ended up being part of a big play in the season, as that was back in the second game of the year against Wachusett, in which Milford had trailed 5-0 heading into the 7th inning. Stormed back for 4 runs. Caffarella walked with 2 outs and David Sampson in scoring position. It would have put the go-ahead run on base. But David Sampson, after the ball 4 was issued, ended up getting picked off at second to end the game. One of the more difficult losses that Milford has suffered this year, as this season has certainly had its share of dramatic moments, both for the good and the bad. It's a 1-ball, 1-strike count right now to Kevin Lynch, the number 9 hitter, with Michael Ryan bluffing off of the second base bag and retreats as the ball misses. It's a 2-1 count now on Lynch. This one swung on, sent up over the backstop on a line and out of play. 2 balls and 2 strikes. With 2 outs in the inning and 2 runners aboard, a chance for Milford to grab the first lead of the night, as Lynch, with a very defensive swing right there, off balance, he's just able to get a piece and sends it on the ground foul into the Milford dugout. The stands continue to fill up here at Pheno Field, a good crowd forming. Here's another 2-2. This one is sent high in the air out to right field. Coming in is Cody Murphy. Still coming in. He dives. And is he able to make the catch? Indeed, he is. A fine sliding catch out there by the Sturbridge right fielder, Cody Murphy. Robs Kevin Lynch of a potential RBI hit. And it brings an end to this bottom of the second inning. Milford strands 2 runners aboard, and we will head to inning number 3 scoreless from Pheno Field. You are listening to coverage of Milford Legion baseball here on First Class Radio and streaming online at WMRCDailyNews.com. Dan Mantoni back out there for the start of the 3rd inning. He faces batters 9, 1, and 2 here in the Sturbridge 3rd inning. Ben Augustine leading things off here, the number 9 hitter. He hits a slow roller to the right side of the infield. Kevin Martinez fields it. He needs to feed Dan Mantoni at the first base bag, but the two are able to complete the play. 3-1. And there's one out here in the top of the third. Just to give you a reminder, if you didn't have a chance to tune in to game number 1 of all of the games that were on tap around the zone today. A lot of early baseball being played. Leominster was visiting Cherry Valley earlier today, as Leominster played 2 games at 2 different locations today, taking on Cherry Valley at 11 o'clock this morning up at Rochdale Park before taking on Framingham in Framingham at 3. As we have a pinch hitter coming up here for Sturbridge, so we will get to that before we continue on with our update from Zone 4. Swing and a miss here brings the count to 0-2. And now a strikeout, as that was Edwin De Leon batting in the place of Jack Sullivan, the catcher. So he strikes out quickly, serving as a pinch hitter for the leadoff man. So possibly an injury situation there for the starting catcher, Jack Sullivan, who grounded out to second base in what was his only plate appearance. He strikes out, the pinch hitter does, for the second out of the inning, and now it is Ian Weatherby up there with a count of 0-2, so we will get to more updates from Zone 4 a little bit later. 0-2 the count. The next pitch into Weatherby is up high for ball 1. We will let you know the subsequent defensive change for Post 109 in the next half inning. In the meantime, Weatherby is just able to get a piece of that one to stay alive. Still 0-2 the count after the foul ball. The next pitch is swung on and missed for strike 3. Back-to-back strikeouts. Completes a 1-2-3 third inning for Dan Mantoni. On to the home half of the third inning we go. Still looking for our first run of the game. It's scoreless between Milford and Sturbridge here on coverage of Milford Legion Baseball on First Class Radio. In the top half of this third inning, he is out of the game. Replacing him behind the plate is Ian Weatherby, who had started this game at third base. So Weatherby slides from third behind the plate, and taking the spot over at third is the man who pinch hit last inning, Edwin De Leon. So again, De Leon at third, Weatherby behind the plate. The defensive changes. Alex Augustine remains on the mound as he deals the first pitch of this bottom of the third inning into Matt DeCina. And it misses for ball 1. Coming up a little bit later on this evening, we should be able to head over to Red Sox baseball as the Red Sox and Yankees play the rubber game of their 3-game series starting at 8 p.m., so we should certainly be able to get over there for a portion of that game once we wrap up Legion coverage for the evening. Red Sox with a good win against Masahiro Tanaka. You may have just gotten over to Red Sox baseball last night after the conclusion of our game at Grafton Hill in time to hear Mike Napoli hit the go-ahead home run in the top of the ninth. Koji Uehara coming out for the save. And the Red Sox walked away with a feel-good win as Matt DeCina sent a hard line drive down the right field line, but that one kicks foul, and he is now in the midst of a full count, 3 balls and 2 strikes against Alex Augustine. Augustine deals the 3-2 pitch, and it misses inside for ball 4. DeCina aboard to lead off the third. That is already the 3rd walk of the game for Alex Augustine. He's walked 1 in each of the first 3 frames, and now here's Andrew McMillan. He worked the first walk back in the first inning, also stole a base. He swings away at the first pitch and hits it high in the air, foul. Has the fans in the stands along the left field line ducking for cover, but that made its way out into the trees. Just a few areas of Pheno Field remain in sunshine as the sun continues to set. Matt DeCina takes off for second base on the pitch that was outside from Augustine. And no chance to get DeCina. He slides in with a stolen base. The second Milford theft of the night. As DeCina gets into scoring position with nobody out, the 1-1 pitch into McMillan misses low for ball 2. Dan Mantoni waits on deck. Milford trying to break through with the game's first run. Milford also still in search of their first hit of the night. They've had 3 walks. They've also had a man reach via an error at first base, but they do not yet have a hit. As this one into Andrew McMillan is hit hard on the ground to third base. It's fielded by Andy Berg. A low throw to first base, but picked by Charlie Murray for the first out. Berg almost got himself caught in no man's land as he had been streaking over towards second base on a possible pickoff play, but managed to get himself back into his shortstop spot to field that ball and send a good throw to first base. So McMillan retired. Matt DeCina was able to advance to third base on the play. As now Dan Mantoni takes a look at a called strike 1. Dan is 0 for 1 on the night. He sends the ball high in the air, but very foul, and headed out towards the Pheno Field parking lot. And this time it's Brian Espinette who's charged with the task of tracking the ball down. This pitch gets off the glove of the catcher Weatherby. DeCina thought about it, but he did not try and score. Probably a wise decision for DeCina, as that one didn't get too far away from the catcher. This is Weatherby's first inning behind the plate, replacing the starter Jack Sullivan. Mantoni sends this pitch in the air out into the gap in right center field. This is going to drop down for a base hit. It takes a ricochet past Cody Murphy out there in right field and rolls all the way to the wall. Matt DeCina comes in to score. Dan Mantoni will cruise into third base with a stand-up triple. And that brings home the game's first run. It is now 1-0 Milford. You could see that was going to be trouble right off the bat. Hit high and deep out there in right center field. Touchdown right in between Brady Ravenel in center and Cody Murphy in right. And then took a nasty hop, and that allowed it to roll all the way to the wall, and that meant 3 bases for Mantoni. And now it's Kevin Martinez first pitch swinging. He gets one through the right side of the infield for a base hit that drives home Dan Mantoni. Back-to-back RBI hits here for Milford, who now take a 2-0 lead. The 3 and 4 hitters for Milford teaming up once again to do some damage. Milford grabs the 2-run advantage. Now here's Joe White looking to keep it going. White takes a pitch high and outside for ball 1. That hit from Martinez just snuck underneath the dive of Dean Morin at second base. As now this pitch goes too far inside, it will clip Joe White off of the elbow. Just grazing him on the way past, but he will trot down to first base. Hit batter. As Joe White is now the runner at first, it pushes Kevin Martinez into scoring position at second. And that will bring out the Sturbridge coaching staff for a visit on the pitcher's mound. The head coach for Sturbridge Post 109 is James Roseal. Just a quick couple of words for his starting pitcher. Coach now retreats to the dugout. Augustine remains in the game. It doesn't look as though anyone is loosening at the moment for Sturbridge, so this is Augustine's inning. He's allowed 2 runs so far. There's only 1 out in the inning, 2 men aboard. And the first pitch into Michael Ryan as a called strike one. And this pitch misses outside. That evens the count at 1 ball and 1 strike. Milford looking for the doubleheader sweep. They have taken their first lead of this game, 2-0 over Sturbridge, after topping North County 5-1 in the first game. A win tonight would be their 10th of the season. As this pitch misses in high, and the count goes to 2 balls and 2 strikes to Michael Ryan, who reached on an error back in the second inning but did not score. And now a breaking ball out of the hand of Augustine that stays up and outside, and that runs the count full. The runners hold, and the pitch misses for ball 4. Walk to Michael Ryan. He will head to first base. Joe White moves down to second. Kevin Martinez up to third. The bases are loaded here with 1 out in the 3rd inning. And a big opportunity coming up for Cam Cosette, who has cashed in on his RBI opportunities lately. Takes a pitch in for a called strike one. And now the next pitch misses well outside, and a nice play by Ian Weatherby to stab that ball on the backhand and keep it from going to the backstop. 1-1 the count. The next pitch in, a big swing and a miss from Cosette. Looking to drive that pitch to the outfield. Instead, he finds himself down in the count, 1-2. Cosette up now, Caffarella to follow. Here's the next pitch, and it is sent foul up over the backstop and out of play. And Cosette looks like he had a pitch to hit right there and is frustrated that he missed it. 1-2 remains the count. This pitch sprayed foul off to the right and out of play. And the count remains 1-2. Each runner takes a lead for post 59. Now too much time taken in between pitches, and Cam Cosette is granted time. Kevin Martinez singled. He is now at third base. Joe White was hit by a pitch. He is at second. Michael Ryan walked. He is at first base as Cosette sends another pitch hard but foul, this time glancing off of the backstop. Ends up over in front of Mike Caffarella in the on-deck circle. Another 1-2. This time Augustine goes to the off-speed stuff, but he can't locate it. And the count evens at 2-2. Cosette a chance to break this game open a bit as he twists out of the way of that pitch, but it ends up on the outside corner, inside corner I should say, for a called strike 3. Cosette disagrees with the call, but he will head back to the dugout as the second strikeout victim of the game for Alex Augustine, who needed a strikeout right there. It freezes the runners in their spots on base. They stay loaded. Now with 2 outs for Mike Caffarella, who drives this ball high in the air out to right field. Still going back is Cody Murphy, but that ball will land foul. Caffarella swinging at the first pitch. He drove that high and far out to right, but unfortunately it twisted into foul ground. That one nearly hitting the Fino Field scoreboard, which is pretty deep out there in foul ground off of right field. It's a long strike one. Caffarella back in the box now. He swings at the second pitch and gets it past the glove of the first baseman Murray. It travels out into right field. Into score comes Kevin Martinez. Right behind him is Joe White. Stopping at third base is Michael Ryan. It's a 2-run single for Mike Caffarella, who comes through here and adds to the Milford lead, which is now 4-0. Great at bat right there by Caffarella, putting good swings on 2 pitches. Able to keep the second one in fair territory. And it brings home 2 more runs here for Milford as they capitalize on this bases loaded chance. Still looking for more here with a runner at third base, and Kevin Lynch all over the first pitch. He lines it hard, but foul down the right field line. Two RBIs for Caffarella, RBIs in the inning also for Martinez and Mantoni as the runner takes off for second base. Caffarella, Weatherby just bluffs a throw down there as he looks to hold Michael Ryan at third base. It's a 1-ball, 1-strike count on Lynch. The next pitch is swung on and sent to the backstop, foul. And it's a 1-2 count. After an off day tomorrow, the team will play up at Cherry Valley as this ball goes over the head of Kevin Lynch. It goes to the backstop. Michael Ryan comes to the plate, but Weatherby is able to get to the ball and fire to the plate with the pitcher Augustine covering, and Ryan is out to end the inning. So Milford sees their 4th base runner in the last 2 days thrown out at home plate, but a lot of damage done in this inning as Milford sends 4 runners across the plate in the inning. They bring 8 men to the plate, and as a result now they lead this game 4-0 over Sturbridge Post 109. It will start the 4th inning when we return here on WMRC First Class Radio. Back here at Fino Field, Dan Mantoni now with a 4-run lead to work with as he will pitch to batters 3, 4, and 5 in the Sturbridge order. Brady Ravenel leading it off. Ravenel singled off of Mantoni back in the 1st inning. That is the only hit for Sturbridge so far tonight. As Mantoni has retired the side in order in the last 2 innings. And Ravenel now behind in the count, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Big hit in that inning coming from Mike Caffarella, the bottom half of the 3rd, driving in 2 runs as now Ravenel sends a ball on the ground towards second base. A brief bobble by Joe White and a high throw to first base, but Kevin Martinez is able to reel it in for the 1st out of the inning. Joe White, a tendency to rush those throws just a little bit over to first if he does not make a clean play on the ball. But it is certainly helpful to have a first baseman with a pretty wide wingspan. It's now Alex Augustine, the starting pitcher, fouls the first pitch he sees up and out of play. Caffarella continued to chase the ball all the way almost behind the visitors' dugout, well out of play. 0-1 the count on Alex Augustine, who struck out looking back in his first at-bat in the 1st inning. Now the wind-up and the pitch from Mantoni. It's inside, evening the count at 1-1. And the next pitch also misses inside to bring the count to 2 balls and 1 strike. The 2-1 offering now is swung on and missed as Augustine chased the pitch up and out of the strike zone. 2-2 the count. Dan Mantoni made his last start here at Fino Field against Leominster Post 151. Ended up pitching all 7 innings of that game. He shut out Leominster on just 5 hits. Also pitched all 7 innings of the first start he made this season. He allowed just 1 run in those 7 innings of work, so he has really been reliable since being inserted into the starting rotation. I do not believe that he was part of the rotation plans for Coach DeVito when this season began, but due to some injuries, he has been put into service pretty regularly now as a starting pitcher, and he has really shown a lot of value in this role. He does walk Alex Augustine with 1 out here in the 4th inning. That breaks up a string of 9 consecutive batters retired by Mantoni. And now he's gone to a 2-ball, no strike count on Cody Murphy, the right fielder, so losing the strike zone a little bit here in the 4th. Big swing and a miss from Murphy brings the count to 2-1. Coach DeVito using Dan Avery and Dan Mantoni as his starting pitchers in this doubleheader, 2 of the longest tenured members of Post 59. Coach DeVito referring to Dan Mantoni as the captain of this team every time he talks about him. Guy that he has come to truly appreciate as a leader on this team. The 2-ball, 2-strike pitch is swung on and missed by Murphy. So after falling behind in the count, Mantoni comes back to get him. It's Mantoni's 5th strikeout of the game. He struck out 2 in the 1st, 2 in the 3rd, and now has 1 here in the top of the 4th inning, and now he will deal with Andy Berg, the shortstop, who loops the first pitch foul over towards the visitors' dugout. 0-1 the count. Alex Augustine, who walked with 1 out in the inning, remains at first base. He hops out to a lead over there. As Berg digs back in, here's the pitch. It's down low. 1-1 the count. We've started to get to the bottom of some of the final scores around Zone 4. We'll relay those to you in the next half inning. In the meantime, it is now a 2-ball, 1-strike count to the batter Andy Berg, who flew out to right field to open up the 2nd inning. Mantoni looks in for the sign, now comes to the plate, and the pitch misses just outside, and the count now goes to 3-1. Charlie Murray would be next. Tony's pitch is in there for a called strike 2. Berg taking all the way. And he now sees a full count of 3 balls and 2 strikes with 2 outs in the inning. Cody Murphy will be on the move at first base. He goes. The pitch is swung on and driven in the air out to center field, but Kevin Lynch has it tracked all the way, now settles underneath. He makes the catch, and that is all here in the top of the 4th inning. And Tony maneuvers around a 1-out walk. And we head to the home half of the 4th with Milford up by a score of 4-0 over Sturbridge here on coverage of Milford Legion Baseball on First Class Radio. New pitcher on for Sturbridge Post 109 as we get set to start the top half of the 5th inning, the bottom half of the 4th inning. Alex Augustine's day on the pitcher's mound is done. He is replaced now by Chris Cutrone. Augustine giving up 4 runs in the bottom of the 3rd inning, pitching to 8 batters. He was in the midst of facing a 9th batter in the inning when he uncorked a wild pitch in which Michael Ryan tried to come home. He was thrown out at the plate to end the inning. But Augustine out, Cutrone in, and his first pitch to Kevin Lynch, who remains at the plate now to start off the bottom of the 4th. That pitch misses for ball 1. Cutrone delivers this one in, and it's a high drive for Kevin Lynch out to left field, but a whole lot of ground out there in left field, and that gave Ben Augustine an opportunity to range over and make the catch. And actually, looking at the jersey number out there in left field after the catch was made, it appears that it may be Alex Augustine who took over for his brother Ben out there in left field. So Ben Augustine out in left field, Alex Augustine in, and it was Alex who makes the catch. 1 down in the inning. It's back up to the top of the order for Matt DeCina, who was up there with a 1-ball, 1-strike count. So we've seen a lot of positional shifting for Post 109 as this game has gone on. They have a new catcher, a new third baseman, a new pitcher, and now a new left fielder since the game began. It's a 1-2 count to Matt DeCina, who walked and stole a base back in the third inning. He sends this pitch out to shallow center field. That's going to drop in for a base hit. A little looping liner for DeCina that dropped in front of Brady Ravenel. And another hit for Matt DeCina. He's now 1 for 2 on this night game. He was also 1 for 2 in game number 1 of this doubleheader with an RBI and a run scored. He immediately takes off for second base as this pitch is sent out to left center field for a base hit by Andrew McMillan. DeCina just keeps on running to third base. A well-executed hit and run by Milford Post 59 that sets up runners at the corners with 1 out. It's Andrew McMillan's first hit of the night, first hit of this doubleheader. He is at first base with now DeCina at third, and here comes Dan Mantoni, who clubbed a triple all the way out into one of the deepest parts of Fino Field out there in right center. He takes a hard swing and a miss at the first pitch as Andrew McMillan took off for second base, and I think that Ian Weatherby did something that was sort of in between a throw down to second and a return throw to the pitcher. Cutrone grabbed it on the way by, so it was an uncontested steal for Andrew McMillan. Two men in scoring position, a count of 1 ball and 1 strike on Dan Mantoni, who could really open this game up with one swing of the bat. He swings at this pitch and pops it up foul and out of play to bring the count to 1-2. Mantoni's triple drove in Matt DeCina back in the third inning. Here's a 1-2 pitch. That gets inside. It gets away from the catcher Weatherby and into score. Standing up is Matt DeCina, and Andrew McMillan moves up to third base. A wild pitch. Charge to Chris Cutrone. And Milford now takes a 5-0 lead. They have another runner at third base. Still just 1 out in the inning. Here's the pitch to Mantoni, and this time he fouls it to the backstop. And the count stays 2 balls and 2 strikes. Kevin Martinez offers his services to go and pick up the loose ball. Moving in from the on-deck circle. The next pitch in is up high, and it bounces in and out of the glove of Ian Weatherby. And the count runs full now to Dan Mantoni, 3 balls and 2 strikes. Cutrone stares in, now goes into the windup. Here is the pitch, and that ball hits Mantoni. He tacks on to his team lead in hit by pitches with his 7th. A painful way to head down to first base, but Mantoni does it. McMillan stays put at third. Runners at the corners once again for Milford, and now a chance for Kevin Martinez, who has an RBI single to his credit on the night. They immediately check in with Dan Mantoni at first base, but the ball gets away, and this will allow Andrew McMillan to come in and score. Dan Mantoni touches second base. He heads on to third, and he will get there. Plenty of foul ground here at Milford. That is why errant throws on the pickoff attempt can be very costly here, and we see it right there as a runner comes in to score. Mantoni is able to move all the way from first to third on the errant throw by Chris Cutrone, and Milford now takes a 6-0 lead. One ball and no strikes, the count now to Kevin Martinez, as Chris Cutrone has struggled with his command, throwing to the plate and throwing the bases here in the inning. As Kevin Martinez swings and sends a ball to the backstop. And you can tell that these Milford players have been here for a long day of baseball, judging by the amount of chatter coming out of the dugout right now. They are giving their current batter, Kevin Martinez, the business, who drives it high in the air out to left center field. This is going to get down and roll all the way towards the wall. Dan Mantoni comes in to score. Kevin Martinez hustling around towards third base. He will hold there with a stand-up triple. It is the second triple of the game for Milford Post 59. Another RBI for Kevin Martinez, and it is now a 7-0 lead for Milford. And in a lot of ballparks around Zone 4, Kevin Martinez would have just had his second home run of the season, but not the case here at Fino. It goes as a triple. And now an RBI chance for Joe White, who hits the ball on the ground towards the right side. It will get the job done as Kevin Martinez crosses the plate to score. Joe White out at first on the ground out, but he will collect an RBI as Milford now scores their 8th run of the game. Both Dan Mantoni and Kevin Martinez with triples in the game. The base is empty now with 2 outs, and Michael Ryan swinging at the first pitch sends it on the ground to second base. Once again, the play made there by Dean Morin, and that will end this bottom of the 4th inning. But more damage done on the scoreboard as Milford puts up another 4 spot. And after 4 innings, it is Milford 8 and Sturbridge 0 here on coverage of Milford Legion Baseball on WMRC First Class Radio. Back here at Fino Field, where Milford is now in full control, looking like they are en route towards sweeping this doubleheader, defeating North County earlier today. Now they're up 8-0 over Sturbridge, and at least one defensive change to tell you about for Post 59, as there is a new catcher into the ball game for Milford. It is Jeff Basazzi taking over for Michael Ryan, who will get some much-needed rest after catching all 7 innings of game number 1 and the first 4 innings of game number 2. It appears to be the only change out there in the field as we begin the 5th. And Dan Mantoni starts off Charlie Murray, the first baseman, with a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Right back into his windup. Here is the pitch. It is chopped foul. Basozzi can't find it. It is actually rolling towards the backstop, where Dan Avery will go and grab it, popping out of the Milford dugout. And it's a 1-ball, 2-strike count. Dan Mantoni has allowed just 1 hit in this game to this point, as Murray now drives this pitch foul off to the left. The count remains 1-2. Both of the catchers who started this game on each side have now come out of the game, as Charlie Murray now sends a little looper over the head of second baseman Joe White out into right field for a leadoff single. There is the second Sturbridge hit of the game. Murray at first base. And now here is Dean Morin, the second baseman. Morin 0 for 1. He grounded out 1-3 in the first inning. He hits a ground ball to second base. It could be 2. Joe White flips to second base. Out there, a high throw from Andrew McMillan. And this one will head out of, it will just stay on the field of play, as it was backed up by Jeff Basazzi. No, they will say it went out of play, and that will allow Morin to move down to second base. So Andrew McMillan, maybe not 100% used to taking those double play balls from the shortstop position, sent a high throw to first base that could not be handled by Kevin Martinez. So Morin safe on the fielder's choice. He moves down to second base on the error by Andrew McMillan. Now this ball gets between the legs of Basazzi and rolls to the backstop, and that will allow Morin to move up to third, getting a free trip around the bases. Still just 1 out here in the top of the 5th inning. A runner now at third base. And Here comes a 1-0 pitch from Dan Mantoni. It's swung on and missed. As the current batter is the relief pitcher Chris Cutroni, who came on in the last inning. Ahead in the count now, Mantoni is 1 ball and 2 strikes. And the next pitch on the outside edge for a called strike 3, completely freezing Cutroni. So 2 outs now in the inning, and a nice time for a strikeout for Dan Mantoni, as it keeps that runner Morin at third base. As now Edwin De Leon will take his second at bat of the day. He came in as a pinch hitter back in the 3rd inning when Jack Sullivan had to come out of the game, we assume due to injury. That has not been confirmed. It's an 0-1 count on Edwin De Leon, who struck out in his only previous at bat. No balls and 2 strikes now the count, as Dan Mantoni looks to hold that runner at third base and preserve the shutout for now. Here is the 0-2 pitch, and it is chopped right back up the middle. Mantoni fields it with the bare hand, sends a low throw to first base, and they'll say the runner is safe. And that will allow Morin to score, as now no, they're going to say it was a dead ball. They'll say that ball bounced off of home plate. So no hit. They will send De Leon back to home plate. That was overruled by the infield umpire, who pointed back towards home plate, said that ball ricocheted as a dead ball. So now De Leon back at the plate. It sends the runner back to third, and it's now a 1 ball, 2 strike count. Another chance for Edwin De Leon. Here is the 1-2 pitch. It swung on and missed for strike 3. So bad luck there for Sturbridge, as it looked like they had grabbed their first run of the day, but that run called back, and De Leon ends up a strikeout victim to end the inning. We head on to the bottom of the 5th inning now. It is an 8-0 lead for Milford here on coverage of Milford Legion Baseball on First Class Radio. More changes for Sturbridge Post 109. As we continue into this bottom of the 5th inning, we have another pitcher on, as Edwin De Leon, who had come into the game as the third baseman, now moves to the pitcher's mound. He will be the 3rd pitcher utilized by Sturbridge on the day. So De Leon in from third. Replacing him at third will be Chris Cutroni, as those 2 flip-flop positions. And also into the game is Rob Kenyon. He takes over at first base, as now Charlie Murray's day is done. So not many of the starters remain in this game for Post 109. Their current defensive alignment looks like this. Ian Weatherby is behind the plate with Chris Cutroni at third. Andy Berg remains the shortstop. Dean Morin remains the second baseman, with now Rob Kenyon at first base. Alex Augustine replaced Ben Augustine last inning defensively. He is in the game now in left field, with Brady Ravenel remaining in center and Cody Murphy remaining in right. So center field, right field, and up the middle in the infield, the only positions that remain unchanged. And we will start to see some of Post 59's bench instituted as we play on to this bottom of the 5th inning, as it looks like Cole McNana will come up and in a pinch hitter spot here, taking the place of Cam Cosette. So with Milford up by a score of 8-0, it looks like we're going to get a steady diet of substitutes going forward. Cole McNana, a very popular player here at Pheno Field. Every time he has a chance to come in one of these pinch hitting roles, it is to a hearty round of applause from the fans. Cole McNana, a recent graduate of Milford High School. The 0-1 pitch misses outside, evening the count at 1-1, and I will tell you, the creativity of the chatter coming out of the Milford dugout is getting better and better as this game goes on, as these Post 59 players have very much enjoyed their time here at Pheno Field today, as McNana drives a pitch high in the air out to left center field. That hangs up for a long time. It gives Ravenel a chance to settle underneath and make the catch. And McNana is retired for the first out here in the bottom of the fifth. And now Mike Caffarella will come to the plate, batting in his own spot here, the number 8 spot in the lineup. It looks like more pinch hitters will follow as Brendan Pounds has grabbed a bat. He will likely bat in place of Kevin Lynch. Mike Caffarella with a big 2-run double back in the third inning that capped off the 4-run rally for Milford that gave them their first lead of the game, which has since grown to an 8-0 advantage. That pitch misses high and out of the strike zone to Caffarella, who has also walked today, so a perfect day on base-wise for Milford's starting third baseman, who sends a pitch in the air out to right field. Murphy ranging over. He is able to make the catch. And there are 2 outs here in the 5th inning. And as expected, now announced into the game is a second pinch hitter, Brendan Pounds. Will bat in the spot previously occupied by Kevin Lynch. Lynch had been 0 for 2, a pair of flyouts. This will not be the end of the pinch hitter parade, as Blake Hill has stepped out in the on-deck circle. If the inning continues, he looks like he will bat in the place of Matt DeCina. This is about the only way you can get Matt DeCina out these days. It's an 0-1 count to Brendan Pounds, who sends this pitch in the air foul and out of play, and it's 0-2. Sturbridge pitching has not enjoyed a 1-2-3 inning so far tonight. They're 1 strike away from seeing it happen here in the 5th inning. Edwin De Leon ahead in the count, 0-2. He winds and fires. That pitch ends up in the dirt. It rolls to the backstop, and the count is now 1-2. Brendan Pounds looking to get his offensive game on track this season. Hanging in there with a count of 1-2. The next pitch is down low again from De Leon. 2 balls and 2 strikes the count. The bases are empty here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Cole McNana led it off with a fly out to center. Mike Caffarella then flew out to right. Brendan Pounds, the current batter. Here is the 2-2 pitch. This is hit in the air, again out to right field, but that stays up there long enough for Cody Murphy to make the catch, and it is indeed a 1-2-3 bottom of the 5th inning. We have played 5 full innings now from Pheno Field. It is Milford 8 and Sturbridge 0 here on coverage of Milford Legion Baseball on First Class Radio. All sorts of defensive changes going on here for Post 59 as we enter the top half of the 6th inning. We'll give you the full defensive alignment that's out there right now for Post 59 behind the plate. He came in the last inning. It's Jeff Basazzi. Mike Caffarella remains in the game at third base. Andrew McMillan remains at shortstop. But it is Brian Espinette now at second base with Scott DeCapua at first and a complete new outfield alignment. It is Cole McNana in left field, Brendan Pounds in center, and Blake Hill in right. So Coach DeVito really emptying the bench here in the late innings, giving an opportunity for his regular starters to get some rest after playing a full game earlier this afternoon. As Milford leads this game by a score of 8-0, there's also a new pitcher on for Milford. And a good sight for Post 59 fans as David Sampson makes his way out onto the pitcher's mound. He will take over in relief after 5 very strong innings from Dan Mantoni. This is just David Sampson's second appearance on the pitcher's mound here in 2014. His first pitch in is a swinging strike one. Ian Weatherby leading things off here in the top of the 6th inning. He has walked and struck out so far tonight. Sampson's next pitch is swung on and missed for strike 2. A couple of good live fastballs for David Sampson, and he finds himself ahead in the count. Weatherby digs back in. Sampson the high leg kick and the pitch. It is swung on and missed for strike 3. It briefly gets away from Jeff Basazzi, but he recovers to make the throw down to first base to complete the out. And it's a 3-pitch strikeout for David Sampson, and already a big difference in the velocity on the fastball from David Sampson as he blew those pitches past Ian Weatherby. Making a relief appearance here. He started last Friday's game against North County. It did not go particularly well. He was only able to pitch 2 innings in that game. His 0-1 pitch now is swung on and missed, and it looks like it's nothing but fastballs out of David Sampson so far. In those 2 innings against North County, Sampson allowed 5 hits, 2 runs, both of them earned. He hit a batter, he walked one. He did not have a strikeout, which was really the most alarming sign, as Sampson is certainly a strikeout pitcher. But he was able to strike out his first batter here, pitching in the top of the 6th inning. And now he's ahead of Brady Ravenel by a count of 0-2. The next pitch, this is hit up the middle. That is going to get down in right center field for a 1-out single. Ravenel now 2 for 3 on the day. Good production out of the number 3 spot. And now it is Alex Augustine, who struck out looking back in the 1st inning, worked a walk in the 4th, all of that against the starter Dan Mantoni. Called strike 1 issued into Augustine here. Sampson winds and delivers. Looked like he took something off that pitch. It stayed upstairs, and the count evens at 1-1. Sampson sets and delivers a swinging strike 2. When we get a chance to talk to Coach DeVito before the game on Tuesday, we'll certainly check in with him to see what the future holds for David Sampson as he's able to get a swing and a miss for strike 3 out of Alex Augustine here. He goes up top to get the strikeout. Ravenel was on the move on the pitch. He ends up stealing second base without a throw. That's 2 strikeouts in the inning so far for Sampson. And now another pinch hitter coming up for Sturbridge, as Mick Sullivan up there now as the pinch hitter. Sullivan swings and misses at the first pitch. I believe now almost the entire bench has been used for Post 109. It looks like Nick Lane, the only member of the Post 109 bench who has not yet been put into the game. So Sullivan bats here in the place of Cody Murphy, who was the starting right fielder. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Make that the 0-2 pitch. It is waved at and missed, and down on 3 pitches goes Sullivan. And David Sampson strikes out the side here in the bottom of the top half of the 6th inning. We move on to the bottom of the 6th now. It remains 8-0 Milford here on WMRC First Class Radio. This is one of those games where if you happen to have the scorebook out at home and you're trying to keep track, you might as well just put that pencil down and enjoy these last couple of innings, because we have more defensive changes that we need to report to you here as we start the bottom half of the 6th inning. Mick Sullivan, who came into the game as a pinch hitter in the top half of this inning, now moves out defensively to second base. That pushes Dean Morin, the starting second baseman, over to shortstop. And in turn, the starting shortstop, Andy Berg, moves out into right field as Cody Murphy is now out of the game. And that means that now the only player that remains in their starting position defensively for Post 109 is center fielder Brady Ravenel, as now Blake Hill into the game. Sends a hard ground ball to first base, but a nifty play turned in by Rob Kenyon at first base. He makes the grab and makes the out at first unassisted.
Now batting number 2, Andrew McMillan.
So Blake Hill, who was batting out of the leadoff spot, which was previously occupied by Matt Tessina. He grounds out 3 unassisted for the first out here in the bottom of the 6th inning. That brings up Andrew McMillan. Another rare sight to see a starting player remaining in the game for either side. It's a 1-ball, 1-strike count to McMillan. Scott DeCapua is in the on-deck circle. He will bat in the number 3 hole in the lineup, of course, previously occupied by Dan Mantoni. McMillan up there with a count of 2 balls and a strike. The next pitch in from Edwin De Leon, working his 2nd inning of relief. And it misses now. 3-1 the count. De Leon pitched a 1-2-3 bottom of the 5th inning, induced 3 fly ball outs. Here's his 3-1 pitch, and this is hit in the air out to left field. Coming in is Alex Augustine, still coming in, but he can't get to it. That drops in for a single. So McMillan now 2 for 3 on the day. He has singled twice and also walked. And before we get to Scott DeCapua, it is actually David Sampson who will bat next, batting in that pitcher spot. De Leon takes a long look over at first base. I would not expect Andrew McMillan will try and steal a base here with Milford up by 8 runs. Sampson takes a first pitch called strike 1. Sampson getting his first at bat of this doubleheader. Brings a 167 batting average into play today. 1 ball and 1 strike now the count. Sampson has 2 hits on the season in 12 at bats. He has 1 extra base hit. He has 2 runs batted in. He has also struck out 5 times. 1-1 the count with Andrew McMillan aboard at first. Here's the next pitch. It is popped up high in the air, but this will go over the backstop, and it will make its way over the press box as well for strike 2. So far, Sturbridge has used Alex Augustine, Chris Cutroni, and now Edwin De Leon out of their bullpen. Alex Augustine, the starter, he went the first 3 innings before getting 1 inning out of Cutroni, and now this is the 2nd inning of work for De Leon. 1-2 the count. Here's the pitch for Sampson. It is swung on and missed. An awkward swing for Sampson. He goes down. The first strikeout for De Leon. And now Scott DeCapua comes to the plate. He bats for Kevin Martinez. The first pitch into Scott misses low for ball 1. Brian Espinette out on deck. He will bat for Joe White. There are 2 outs in the inning, however. The next pitch from De Leon is high and outside. Scott DeCapua did get the start at DH in the game earlier today. Ended up going 0 for 2 with a pair of strikeouts before being lifted for a pinch hitter in the late innings. He's ahead in the count right now, 2 balls and no strikes. McMillan remains at first. Here's the pitch. It was a breaking ball that looped outside for ball 3. 3-0 the count to Capua. Takes a couple of practice cuts, now levels the bat over the shoulder as De Leon leans in towards the plate to get the sign. He now comes to the set and sends a pickoff throw over to first base where McMillan was able to get back standing up. We often hear of the unwritten rules in baseball at the professional level, and this is typically a situation where a team with a big lead will not look to steal a base. Here's the 3-0 pitch and a big hack from Capua, but he misses and the count goes to 3-1. I don't believe that Milford took batting practice before the early game this afternoon, but nonetheless it has been a long day of baseball as we're now past the hour of 8:30. The 3-1 pitch is up high. Coming out of the crouch was Weatherby to keep that one in the glove. It's ball 4. Capua will head down to first base. That pushes Andrew McMillan into scoring position at second, and here comes Brian Espinette. He steps in replacing Joe White, who was 0 for 2 on the night. He was hit by a pitch. He also had an RBI on a ground out back in the 4th inning. It has been 4-run innings that has been the undoing of Sturbridge in this season series against Milford this year. They allowed 3 different 4-run innings in the game earlier this season, en route to Milford collecting a mercy rule win. They've allowed 2 4-run innings in this game, 1 in the 3rd and 1 in the 4th, as Espinette lines a pitch foul down the right field line. Oh, and 2 the count. Espinette digs back in, a left-handed batter. One of the youngsters on this Milford roster. Here's the pitch. It is inside, and the count goes to 1-2. Taking a quick look at what's going on over between the Red Sox and the Yankees. The Sox have a 1-0 lead heading into the bottom of the 2nd inning. Scoring that run on an RBI single by Stephen Drew. Now Brian Espinette is granted timeout at home plate. The count remains 1 ball and 2 strikes with Andrew McMillan at second base and Scott Capua at first. Still in the early stages of that ball game up in the Bronx, so you should be able to get in a good portion of that game here on First Class Radio at the close of our coverage of Legion Baseball. Espinette hits a ball on the ground towards first base. It's fielded there by Kenyon. He will take it to the first base bag himself for the out. That retires the side. We have played 6 innings now in the 2nd game of this doubleheader at Pheno Field, and it is an 8-0 lead for Milford. You're listening to coverage of Milford Legion Baseball right here on First Class Radio. Some of those finals that we can tell you about. Wachusett was able to beat Eastside earlier this season or earlier this day, I should say, by a final score of 6-3. Framingham with a big mercy rule win over Leominster. That game took 6 innings, and Framingham defeated Leominster by a final of 10-0. Maine South also with a big win over Shrewsbury. That game was a 12-5 final. So Milford, in their endeavor to move back up in the standings, big losses by Leominster and Shrewsbury. A chance to tighten up those standings a little bit more, as Milford looks like they are positioned well to grab their 10th win of the season. That should definitely tighten things up on their end. This has been a very successful afternoon and evening of baseball to this point. David Sampson back out there on the mound for post 59. He jumps ahead of Andy Berg, 0-2. Here's his next pitch, and it sent foul out of play. David Sampson in his second inning of relief. He struck out the side back in the 6th inning with 1 hit mixed in. Sturbridge has been limited to just 3 hits on the day as David Sampson took something off that pitch and had Andy Berg swinging out of his shoes. That is the 4th strikeout now for Sampson. All of his outs recorded via the strikeout. And now first pitch swinging. This ball is hit on the ground towards first base, but a foul ball. As Rob Kenyon takes his first at bat of the game in the place of Charlie Murray, who had been 1 for 2. Now this pitch hit in the air. This one also will go foul, and the count goes to 0-2. We have now seen a total of 10 pinch hitters between these two games as these middle innings have gone on. Here is the 0-2 pitch from Sampson. It is lined foul. It just gets past the Milford dugout, as that fastball was delivered just as quickly over towards the Milford bench area, but it looked like it ricocheted just to the outfield side of the first base dugout. Here comes another 0-2 pitch. This is hit on the ground up the middle. The play is made there by Andrew McMillan. A good throw to Scott DeCapua over at first base. And there are 2 outs here in the top of the 7th, so Sturbridge down to their last out. As Sampson looks to finish things off, it has a 2013 kind of feel to it to see David Sampson out there to finish off a ball game. Of course, no save opportunity here tonight. Milford enjoying the 8-run lead. As Dean Morin now stands in. Morin, one of the few remaining members of the original starting lineup for Sturbridge. He started the day at second base, has since moved to shortstop. And he takes a couple of swings and misses at the first 2 pitches from David Sampson, and now Sturbridge down to their final out. No balls and 2 strikes, 2 outs here in the top of the 7th inning. David Sampson winds and delivers, and Morin spoils it foul. And we will see at least 1 more pitch. Dan Mantoni pitched the first 5. David Sampson coming in the 6th. He has 2 outs here in the 7th. And this 0-2 pitch misses a little bit outside. And the count goes to 1-2. Milford 1 strike away from earning that 10th win of the season. Here comes another pitch from Sampson, and it drops in for a called strike 3, and the ball game is over. David Sampson K's 5 of the 6 batters. 5 of the 7 batters he faces in this game. And the ball game ends. A big win for Milford as they sweep this doubleheader. They win game 1 over North County 5-1, and they win this ball game here tonight over Sturbridge Post 109 by a final score of 8-0. A great day of baseball, and we will recap this second game in just a few short moments in our post-game show. So stick around as we bring our day-long coverage of Milford Legion baseball to a close when we come back here on WMRC First Class Radio.